Nolan Pierce had been home all day. Not in and out. Not, maybe I missed it. Home. Laptop open on the kitchen table, phone on the counter, the quiet hum of the refrigerator, and the occasional creak of the hallway floorboards as he paced between calls. He was waiting for a package he couldn't afford to lose, a replacement hard drive with the only backup of his freelance client files. The original drive had started clicking 2 days ago like a countdown. He ordered the replacement overnight, paid extra for signature-required delivery, and cleared his schedule so he'd be present. He even put a note in the delivery instructions. Please ring doorbell. I am home. Nolan was black, 28, and careful with anything involving signature required, because he'd learned those were the deliveries most likely to turn into disputes, especially when the delivery person didn't feel like climbing stairs or knocking twice. At 1:07 p.m., Nolan got a notification. Out for delivery. He refreshed the tracking page twice anyway. At 2:34 p.m., his phone buzzed again. Delivery attempted. No one available. Notice left. Nolan froze. He stared at the screen like it was a joke. Attempted. No one available. Notice left. He pushed his chair back fast and went to the front door. No slip in the frame. No paper tucked under the mat. No sticky note on the handle. Nothing. Nolan opened the door and stepped onto the porch. The street was quiet. A couple cars passed. A neighbor across the way watered plants. No delivery truck in sight. Nolan's chest tightened. He checked the tracking details. The carrier was Parcel Pro Express. The status showed, attempted, 2:31 p.m. Nolan looked at the time on his phone. 2:36. 5 minutes. 5 minutes ago, Nolan had been on a Zoom call, camera on, headphones in, sitting 6 feet from the front door. If someone rang the bell, the doorbell's chime would have cut through the call like a siren. If someone knocked, the sound would have vibrated through the hallway. Nolan lived in a small house. There was no didn't hear. He walked back inside, still staring at the tracking page, and then his eyes landed on the small black doorbell camera mounted beside the doorframe. Nolan didn't love the doorbell camera. He didn't love the idea of being recorded and storing footage in clouds he didn't control. But after a neighbor claimed Nolan's packages were always getting delivered wrong, Nolan installed it. Not for paranoia, for proof. Nolan opened the doorbell app. He tapped the event history for 2:20 to 2:40. It loaded. The list was empty. No motion, no ring, no visitor. Nolan's stomach dropped into anger. He pulled up the live view, porch, steps, street, and saw nothing but sunlight and stillness. He scrolled back again. Still empty. So the driver hadn't come, or the driver had stayed far enough away not to trigger motion and never walked up. Either way, attempted was a lie. Nolan took screenshots of the empty event history with timestamps visible. Then he called Parcel Pro Express customer service. A robotic voice made him confirm the tracking number, then kept him on hold with music that sounded like it was designed to dissolve urgency. After 9 minutes, a representative answered. Parcel Pro, a white man said, bored. How can I help you? Nolan kept his voice calm. My package was marked delivery attempted at 2:31. I was home. No one rang the doorbell. No notice was left. And my doorbell camera shows no motion or ring at that time. The man sighed lightly. If it says attempted, the driver attempted. Nolan blinked. No, the driver did not come to my door. The man's tone sharpened slightly. Sir, drivers don't falsify attempts. Nolan felt heat rise behind his ribs. He pushed it down. I have a time-stamped doorbell log showing nobody approached. We don't accept customer video, the man replied quickly. It can be edited. Nolan's jaw tightened. It's a doorbell event log with timestamps. It's not edited. The man's voice stayed flat. We go by the driver scan. Nolan stared. So your system is automatically right and mine is automatically fake. The man didn't respond to the accusation. He said, You can schedule a redelivery. Nolan took a slow breath. This is signature required. If the driver keeps marking attempted, I'll never get it. The man's tone turned impatient. Sir, do you want a redelivery or not? Nolan kept his voice even. I want an investigation. I want the driver route verified, and I want you to confirm whether the driver's scanner logged a door scan or GPS proximity. The man paused. A what? GPS proximity, Nolan repeated. Your drivers have location data tied to attempts. If he was at my address, it will show. And if he wasn't, it will show. The man exhaled like Nolan was being difficult on purpose. We don't provide that. Nolan didn't raise his voice. Then escalate me. The man's tone cooled. There's nothing to escalate. The package will be held at the depot if delivery fails again. Nolan's stomach clenched. Held at the depot. Meaning the burden shifts to the customer to fix their availability, even when the attempt never happened. Nolan ended the call before his tone could slip. He opened his email and sent himself a quick note. Attempt marked 2:31, home entire time. No doorbell events, 2:20 to 2:40. No notice left call to Parcel Pro refused evidence. He attached the screenshots. Then he took a photo of his front door, showing no notice. If Parcel Pro wanted to write a story where Nolan wasn't available, Nolan would build a timeline that couldn't be argued with. He looked at the tracking page again. There was a button. Report a problem. Nolan clicked it and typed carefully. Driver did not attempt delivery. I was home. No doorbell ring, no notice. Doorbell log shows no approach at 2:31. Please verify the attempt using doorbell timestamp and driver GPS. He hit submit. Then he sat down and stared at the doorbell camera again, jaw clenched. Because he knew what was really happening. It wasn't that the driver couldn't deliver. It was that marking attempted was easier than walking up the steps, ringing the bell, and waiting for a signature. And Nolan knew something else too, the part that made it sting. If the driver assumed nobody would challenge it, he wouldn't bother trying. But Nolan was going to challenge it. With timestamps, with logs, with proof that he was there the whole time. And if Parcel Pro wanted to keep pretending they tried, Nolan was about to make the doorbell history speak louder than their scan. The next morning, Nolan woke up the way you wake up when someone has taken something from you without taking it physically. Not panicked, locked in. He checked the tracking page before he even brushed his teeth. Status, delivery attempted, customer unavailable. Next step, held for pickup, Depot 17. Nolan stared at the screen. They hadn't even tried again. They just escalated the lie. His chest tightened, a slow burn of anger and disbelief. He'd been home again. He'd left his laptop open in the kitchen, doorbell volume turned up, curtains pulled back. He'd even positioned himself where he could see the street through the front window. No truck, no knock, no slip. Just a status update written like a verdict. Nolan opened the doorbell app. He scrolled to the new timestamp, 9:12 a.m., the moment Parcel Pro claimed they attempted. Again, nothing. No ring, no motion, no person. His porch camera didn't catch a shadow, not even a passing reflection of a uniform. Nolan took screenshots, again, and then pulled up the settings page that showed the camera's clock sync. He screenshot that too, because he knew what companies did when you showed them proof. They attacked the proof. He opened his notes app and wrote a clean timeline. Day 1, attempted 2:31 p.m. No doorbell events. Day 2, attempted 9:12 a.m. No doorbell events. No notice left either day, package now held at Depot 17. Then he called Parcel Pro again. This time he didn't go through general customer service. He found a different number online, the local depot line listed under Depot 17. It rang longer. Then a woman answered, sharper and more awake than yesterday's rep. Depot 17, she said. Dispatch. Nolan kept his voice calm. Hi, I have a signature-required package that was marked attempted twice. No one came to my door either time. I have doorbell camera logs showing zero activity. Now it's being held. I need you to verify the driver's GPS and scan history. There was a pause, just a beat where the woman decided if she was going to treat him like a real problem or an annoyance. What's the tracking number? She asked. Nolan gave it. Keyboard clicks. The woman said, it shows 2 attempts. Driver notes say, no answer, no safe location. Nolan's jaw tightened. There was no answer because nobody rang or knocked and no notice was left. I need you to check the GPS stamp tied to the scan. The woman hesitated. We don't normally, Nolan cut in, controlled. Please, I'm not accusing anyone emotionally. I'm asking for the objective data that proves the attempt. If the driver was at my address, the GPS will show it. If he wasn't, it will show that too. Silence. Then she said, hold. Nolan waited, breathing slow. When she came back, her tone had shifted, less dismissive, more careful. Okay, she said. I pulled the scan metadata. Nolan's pulse kicked. And? The woman cleared her throat. The attempt scan was logged, 2 blocks away. Nolan went still. 2 blocks, he repeated. Yeah, she said, like she didn't want to say it twice. It's geo-stamped near Oak and Fenner. Nolan stared at his kitchen wall. Oak and Fenner was not his street. So the driver scanned attempted without being at my address, Nolan said, voice calm, deadly precise. The woman didn't deny it. The GPS stamp doesn't match your delivery point. Nolan felt something hard settle in his chest, validation, but bitter. Who was the driver? Nolan asked. She paused. I can't give you personal info. Nolan nodded. Then tell me the route number and supervisor. More keyboard clicks. Route 4C, she said. Supervisor is Brett. Nolan wrote it down. Then he asked, calm. Is there a reason the driver would scan 2 blocks away and mark attempted? The woman exhaled. Sometimes drivers pre-scan when they're behind. Nolan's jaw tightened. So they faked the attempt to stay on schedule. She didn't answer directly. I didn't say that. Nolan kept his tone even. You don't have to. The GPS did. Another silence. Nolan continued, firm but controlled. I need the package delivered today. Not held, not pickup. Delivered, because your driver didn't attempt either time. The woman hesitated. It's already in the hold cage. Nolan said, then you pull it out. She exhaled. Hold. Nolan waited again. When she returned, she said, okay, we can put it back on the truck for an end-of-day redelivery, but someone must be home. Nolan's voice stayed calm. I have been. The woman didn't argue. What's the best phone number for the driver to call at arrival? Nolan gave it. Then he added, and I want a note on the file. Doorbell log shows no attempt. GPS stamped for scans 2 blocks away. The woman paused. I can note GPS mismatch. Do it, Nolan said. Done, she replied. Nolan exhaled slowly. Thank you. He ended the call and sat still for a moment, letting the anger drain into clarity. It wasn't attempted. It was assigned. It was scheduled. But not actually done. And the only reason the truth surfaced was because Nolan asked for what most people didn't know to ask for, the metadata behind the scan. At 6:22 p.m., Nolan's doorbell chimed. A real chime, loud and clean. Nolan stood up immediately and opened the door. A Parcel Pro driver stood on the porch, white man in his 20s, cap low, handheld scanner in one hand, a small box in the other. He didn't look guilty. He looked tired. Signature, the driver said, not meeting Nolan's eyes. Nolan took the pen and signed on the screen. The driver turned to leave quickly. Nolan kept his voice calm. Did you attempt this delivery yesterday? The driver paused half a second, then shook his head once. Not me. Nolan nodded. Okay. The driver walked off. Nolan closed the door and stood with the box in his hands, feeling something complicated. Relief that it finally arrived, and anger that it took this much effort to make a company do what he paid extra for. He opened the box at the kitchen table and checked the hard drive. It was fine. Sealed. New. But Nolan didn't let the moment end there. He opened his email and wrote a complaint. Short, factual, impossible to dismiss. 2 attempts marked without doorbell ring. Doorbell log shows no approach. Depot confirmed. Scan GPS stamped 2 blocks away. Package wrongly held for pickup redelivery. Only after GPS mismatch noted. He attached screenshots. He hit send. Because he knew what happened wasn't just about his package. It was about how easy it was for someone to mark him unavailable and move on until a timestamp proved otherwise. And Nolan was done letting attempted become a word that meant we didn't bother.